This is actually a kit I finished around 2 years ago. I want to give it a quick fix and higher level of detail before I put in the display cabinet. Hello guys, I'm Kawa from Hearns Hobbies. Today I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how I fix the tiny gaps and also the gate marks on the pots. Let's get started. So I'm recently working on the Figure Eight Standard Slate Mercury. This is actually a kit I finished around 2 years ago. I want to give it a quick fix and higher level of detail before I put in the display cabinet. Regarding my skill level of modeling has been improved a lot compared to the past. There's a few different ways of doing the gap filling, depending on how big the gap is. The first way is using some cement, like this. For example, these two boots supposed to have the vertical gap at the back, but I fill the gap with two different ways. The left-hand side is fixed by using the cement. So I get the cement with the little tiny brush applicator. So I just brush the cement into the gap. And then, before the cement dries, I squeeze the parts and makes it very tidy. You can even squeeze out some of the melted plastics from the gap and wait until it dries. After that, you just use hobby knife and the sanding blocks to sand down the surface. And then apply the paint on the top. This is how I finished the gap filling of the left boots. Let me do a quick demo on how do I use cement to fix the gap on this paint. After we take off the parts and we find out the gaps over here, and it's possible to squeeze them together. So I think that should be a good example of how I use the cement to do the gap filling. I might do very quick cleanup on the gate marks over here. So just scratch the gate mark with the hobby knife. Before I apply the cement, I just slightly pull off the parts to make the gap. Just pull off the parts that can make the brush going through. Whoop, that's too much. Just put it up a bit. Like this. And another side as well. And I just it's okay if you apply a bit more, but just keep that in mind that you don't want to melt the joint inside. So just going through from here. You can apply a bit more. That's too much. Like this, and another side as well. And then you just squeeze, give a very strong squeeze. You can see I squeeze out a tiny bit of the plastic from the gap over here, and keep squeezing until it dries. And yeah, after that you will use the hobby knife to clean up everything, and here's out And I'm using the same method to fix the gap between this part and this part in the middle here. That's a very good method if you want to do the gap filling for the tiny gaps on the hairs or clothes or even the body. And sometimes you might find the gap is still a bit obvious after you do the gap filling with the cement. For example, this one here is okay, but you want to fix here. And we will use another thing to finalize the detail over here. And for this step, I will use the white putty from Mr. Hobby. You can also use any other acrylic putty or lacquer putty. This kind of putty is more ready to use compared to the putty you will need to mix them together and apply to the place you want to fill the gap or do the sculpting. And I will have a tiny plate here and just I will use any tools to apply this onto the surface. As long as the gap is fulfilled. And make sure the pot is covered by the putty, and it is okay to have some leftovers around. It is okay to have some leftovers on the surroundings because we want to sand the surface after the putty is dry. And it normally takes a whole day until it dries, so we will just leave it at somewhere else. The same process for this one as well. So this gap is fulfilled by the putty already, but I might want to apply another layer of the putty to make sure all the tiny gaps are fulfilled. And yeah, and I will wait until it dries to proceed to the next step. After that is basically sanding down the surface and apply the paint with the brush. And because I'm using a lacquer putty, I can clean the tools with the lacquer thinner or the tool cleaner. So it is okay to use any lacquer thinner or tool cleaner to clean up all your tools afterwards. So I'm going to use the tool cleaner to clean all the things after I finish applying the lacquer putty. You can see the putty can melt it in the tool cleaner because it's lacquer based. And also here, and on the head parts, it's supposed to have a tiny gap from here along down to here. And I use putty to fill this gap and then sanding down the surface, then paint with the color of hair. Same process along here and also this side and also this side here. So after applying the paint, I might give a little bit sanding and then apply the top coat to get rid of the glossy texture of the paint. And that's the way I do the gap fillings. If you have any other better ways to do that or find this one is helpful, feel free to give a like to this video or leave any comments below. I'm Kawa from Hearns Hobbies. See you next time. Bye bye.